Hi everyone, it's D. McNair on the air. I want to share an encouraging word with you and for you. Many of us know why this is going to be an encouragement because the mighty man of God, Reverend Daryl Owens, shared this very information with me and many of my viewers a few weeks ago. Little did we know we would need all of this right now. Reverend Daryl Owens, thank you for the ready word. We have hope and not despair.
Thank you so much, D. McNair, for this invitation, and for Mr. McNair, who is helping us as well. So I love the fact that you talked about grief. I am a professional, board-certified hospital chaplain and grief counselor at UNC Hospitals in Chapel Hill. And so I deal with a lot of people in crisis, and especially when it comes to grief, as you mentioned. A lot of us don't always know what to do when it comes to grief. Grief is a reaction to loss. And the loss that we may have experienced in life could have been connected to death, and it couldn't have been connected to death either. So you can experience grief in many different ways. Many people, grief happens with the breakup of a relationship, or you could have just graduated from college and moved halfway across the United States and you're not with your own community of family and friends that you've grown up with, and you can experience grief there. Many of us have walked around with what I call a litany of grief, meaning a history of grief, level upon level upon level upon level. And when you walk around and you try to act like everything is great, and you don't have any grief, grief can come out at inopportune times. We don't always know what to do with it because we don't want anybody to think we're flawed, and we want to put our best foot or our best face forward.
And that's not face, good. You know, we'll plaster whatever we got to plaster on and put the best face forward. But you said at inopportune times, the grief will come out.
It'll come out. You can be with someone else who is having some kind of experience where they're experiencing some kind of loss, and then you might be there to help them, to try to comfort them, and then when you think about the conversation, it's been all about me. I'm supposed to be helping you, but I wound up talking all about me and my stuff. That tells me I've got a lot of stuff I haven't dealt with yet. Exactly, and it doesn't mean that you ever get over grief as if it's a virus. You live with it. I in particular deal with a lot of parents whose babies have died either during the pregnancy or right afterwards. And something they've said to me is that you never get over the loss or the death. You learn to live with the pain of the death. And that's what many of us do. When that person in our life has died, yes, especially if they're Christian and we believe in the afterlife, we're very grateful that they're not suffering or going through things, but we still feel that loss because we're human beings and we've had a relationship. And the loss of that relationship is very life altering because you now have to learn to live your life without that person.
A lot of times I've had people who feel I don't grieve. And so I'd like to go back and talk about when you said most inopportune times. What is an example of this grief being demonstrated or expressed? Because a lot of people have said I don't grieve because they are looking for tears or for me to fall apart. And I've said, no, I'm processing it based on my cultural background, my upbringing, but also what allows me for my personality to have some control. And part of that is not crying every second of every hour of every day. I have found it doesn't profit me anything. Versus a lot of times surrounding myself around people who have already gone through it a day ahead of me or a week ahead of me. It doesn't even have to be years. And I'm able to watch them and revalidate that it's okay what I am or am not feeling. And for me, that's my healing. But what are some of these known at that moment, inopportune times that you see? What is it? Anger? Is it?
It can be anger. It can be many different things. I want to go back to something you just said about the way you grieve and people judging you grieve. There are two, Doka and Martin talks about two different types of grievers. One is what we call an instrumental griever, which you just described as yourself. That instrumental griever is feeling the grief, dealing with the grief, but they may not emote it. They may not show it in tears and emotional demonstration as much, but it's inside. They're thinking it, they're working it through. I grieve that way a lot. Then there are also what we call intuitive grievers. They may emote. Intuitive grievers, you will see crying and they want to discuss it and things like that. My wife is more of an intuitive griever. Now, both the instrumental griever and the intuitive griever are not gender related.
No, I will say, as you alluded to, you guys know I love having my main man in the studio, and he is behind the camera. And I hope I can just say, "Mwah, babe," but he is the intuitive griever. And I know a new word, I'm the instrumental griever.
Yes.
And you guys may think it's silly that Dee is getting kind of excited about it, but you should get excited whenever you learn something new about yourself. Because the more you know about yourself, you can help someone else.
That's right.
You guys know I say it's not about you and it's not about me. It's all about the we. And we are so much stronger together. Learn who you are and be okay that you are changing every second. But I like having a word that I can share and start a conversation now with people when they're thinking, aren't you grieving?
Yes, I am.
I'm an instrumental griever.
Yeah.
And when they don't know, I can use the tools that help me grieve and say, let's go learn about it together.
Because the thing, one of the unwise things in grief is when someone is trying to make another person who's grieving grieve just like them. That is so unfair.
Amen. No, I won't sing. That's one of them amen moments. Amen corner.
But it's very unfair because, again, if you're an I've dealt with people in the hospital who said, chaplain, I think the staff thinks I'm not grieving because they don't see my tears, but I am. And we will have the discussion, and I'm affirming the kind of grief that they do, and affirming to them, stay the way you are.
Yes.
You don't need to change to fit someone else's description of what they think a good griever is. Because you can always handicap a person when it comes to their grief journey. We learn a lot of things on our grief journey. Me in particular, my wife and I lost a pregnancy. My twin brother unexpectedly died when we were both 45. Both parents have died. I've had another sibling die. Many different types of grief. But I understand how I grieve. But I also have room for other people to grieve the way they grieve because we're all different. And when I'm with families in the hospital who are experiencing a common death of a person, whomever that person is, one thing I will say to them, all of you are going to grieve the same person differently. This person is different in all of your lives, representing something different for all of you, and you will all grieve differently, even though you're the same family. Parents who grieve the loss of a child, each parent will grieve differently. Life history, their own experiences with death and dying, and just how they are as far as their own emotions. So because someone is an instrumental griever, does not make them worse than an intuitive griever, or an intuitive griever worse than an instrumental griever. We just do it differently.
It's not about you, and it's not about me, Daryl. It is all about the we, and we are so much stronger together. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for hanging in, and we'll see you next time.